Hi there guys, in this video I want to cover the beginning of the game and make a video basically explaining the very start. Now for a long time I haven't been in a position to create such a video, and it's something I would wanted to do because I understand that the Elite and Dangerous can be very confusing for new players. It just kind of leaves you to your own devices, and I can admit that could be confusing. Now what I want to do in this video is to kind of cover the start of the game and give you a bit more tutorial on it. Obviously this is going to be more up to date in some of the other videos out there because this has just been created recently, so hopefully things don't change too much in the future, but this should give you a pretty good indication. I must admit the tutorial isn't too bad, but there are a couple of times in the tutorial where things could be a little bit better explained, so I've wanted to do that and help some new guys out with this. So if you're a more advanced player, you may want to skip this video. The idea, like I said, with this is to help the new. I do intend to make a video after this essentially, or maybe another two, to kind of push you on to the next stage of the game. This is going to be kind of a large video because it's mostly covering the tutorial, and the tutorial is quite long. Not that there is a lot of things to kind of do in it, it's just it's quite long, and I wanted to follow the tutorial quite closely, so if you get stuck you've got a point of reference. Anyway guys, let's get on with it. So before you click on start, I highly suggest you go on the option settings, like a lot of PC games, and set your game up. Now the first thing I would suggest is going into the graphics settings and set up your resolution and your quality settings and all that lot. So if you're running 1080p or 1440p and all that, set that up now and set up your quality settings. So if you just want a quick way of setting up your game, Elite and Dangerous isn't over demanding, so you shouldn't need too modern hardware. So after that I suggest going into the controls. Now the controls list is a bit overwhelming, I must admit. At one stage this was a massive list of settings, but they have made it into sections, and you can see you can go into the various little groups and get more detail. However, before doing that I would suggest going up to the presets and setting your type of control. So if you're using a controller or gamepad, use set where it says control pad. If you use mouse and keyboard, set it there, or if you're using joystick, it just gives you a quick setup of all the sort of basic controls. However, once you do that you may want to customize controls afterwards, or just have a look in the list to see what things are. So you might want to go into, say, the miscellaneous section and see what the kind of landing gear is set up for, or you may want to change the bind to what you like. But if you use the preset first, that's going to give you the kind of overall settings for everything. And like I said, controls in Elite and Dangerous is quite important, and they do take quite a long time. So I don't want to spend long on the control setup because you can spend, to be honest, quite a long time setting all those up. I just want you to be aware of those and basically set your controls up to a preset. That way they will be kind of in the territory of what you want, so if you're using a control pad or keyboard, etc. So hopefully with your settings done you should be ready to start the game. So when you're ready, just click on start. Now you'll get this kind of loading screen. This will change depending on which ship you've got. So this is the first beginning ship, which is called a Sidewinder. You can see it kind of the outline spinning now. So when the tutorial bloke talks, I'm going to shut up and let him say his piece.
Welcome to Mawson Dock. Make yourself comfortable while we finish some preliminary ship checks. My name's Theo Acosta, and I'll be running your Pilots Federation evaluation. Most pilots assigned to me earn their license, so as long as you follow my instructions, you'll be a commander in no time. Oh, and before you ask, I may sound like an Imperial, but I'm actually from an independent system. Today we'll be covering the basics of flight control, combat, and frameshift drive use. This Sidewinder has been installed with a specialized computer that'll take control at certain points. Mostly you'll follow a series of objectives to guide your actions. These are shown in the info panel at the top right of the head-up display. Okay, you're good to go. Select auto launch from the options ahead of you when you're ready.
Okay, so he's gave you a quick overheads. He did make a joke about the Imperial and Independent. Now, just to quickly explain that, there are kind of three sides in the game. Two of those are military and one of those are not. The two military are Federation and Imperial, and the Independent are completely separate for those. So that's just a little quick what that means. Now before you launch, I highly suggest you would actually refill your ship at this time, but everything's pretty much done at this stage. Basically all you got to do is press the button down here, which is auto launch, and you should find your ship basically moving itself. Basically at this time just wait for your ship to get out of the station. Everything else is done for you.
You can relax and enjoy the view. One of the ways that technology allows us to appreciate the good things in life. Other applicants are departing for their own evaluations, but this isn't a race. Each of the coming stages can be completed at your own pace.
So I'm just having a quick look around the station. Hopefully you won't get in a queue, because you can take a little bit of time to get out of the station. Basically, like I said, just let it do all of this itself.
Remarkable, isn't it? For so long, humanity gazed up at the stars in wonder. We're not distracted by one of Earth's many wars. And now, we glide between them without a second thought. Ah, here we are. Your first task is to demonstrate basic ship movements. A ship's trajectory is primarily controlled by pitch, yaw, and roll. Perform each of these now.
So here we need to basically demonstrate the three basic controls, which is pitch, yaw and roll. Now Elite and Dangerous works a little bit different than some of the other space sims out there. Elite and Dangerous, you need to roll your ship clockwise or anti-clockwise and then pitch it up and down. Now this can take a little bit of time to get used to, but it does make sense, as there'll be more thrusters on the top and bottom of the ship rather than the side.
Good. Now increase your throttle to accelerate forwards.
So basically now once you stop, increase your speed. That should make you go forward.
Decrease the throttle to resume a stationary position.
So now just go in reverse, or if you've set a bind up you can set your 0 speed and press that. So now it's asking you to go in reverse, so basically just hold the reverse button and you should start seeing your ship go in reverse. You won't see a negative number, but it will just be coming from the top downwards. So to give you a little bit more information on that, you can see at the top we have a number. Now that is our current speed, so you can see it's at 100. Now next to that we have the indicator, or just below that. Now that gives an idea of relatively how fast the ship is travelling in that direction. So if it's coming from the top down, that means we're going in reverse. If it's coming from the bottom up, we're going forward. And just underneath that we have our set speed, so this is the speed we've set that we want to achieve.
As before, push the throttle in the opposite direction to cease moving. Inputs confirmed. Looks like you've got the hang of individual controls. Let's see if you can put them all together. Your next task is to guide your ship through a series of checkpoints. Head towards the course, following the target indicator. The course weaves through an orbital structure and is designed for the novice pilot.
So now we've got to put both bits together and actually fly this ship through a series of rings. So we've got to basically increase our forward speed to go towards that target, and then get familiar with the turning. Now we've got an unlimited time, so if it takes longer, don't worry. There's no set time limit.
Accelerate through the first checkpoint when you're ready to start.
So the first ring you'll notice will be green, and as you start flying through them, they're changed from yellow to green. So the green is the one you currently need to fly through.
Notice that they change colour as you fly through them. And we're off. There's no time limit, so maintain a comfortable speed while you familiarise yourself with the controls.
And just one little quick word of warning is, as you start turning to go to the other targets, slow down a little bit, don't go at full speed.
Rolling and pitching together is the most efficient way of turning rapidly. angle and speed of your approach. See the blue marker beside the throttle gauge? This indicates the optimum turning speed.
So in this, I don't feel this was explained thoroughly. So what it's on about is how quickly your ship turns. So if your ship is going very slowly, it's going to be very slow to turn, and equally if it's going too fast, it's going to struggle to counter the forces. So you need to be in between those lines to get the ship to turn at its best. This is shown with these little dotted lines here, and if we extend them across and put green lines to kind of show you the area, now if where our set speed is in between those lines, so now the ship should turn at its best speed. So hopefully that's just explained that a little bit better, as I think the tutorial kind of just highlights the whole area and doesn't really explain that too well. And just bear in mind there's those arrows there which you may just kind of not pay much attention to, but they give you a little bit more indication of where the next ring is.
You're approaching a particularly sharp turn, so I advise slowing down to prevent any mishaps.
So you should be fine if you're in the optimal turning speed at this point.
Your ship's boost function greatly increases your speed, but use it wisely.
So at this point you can decide whether to boost or not. I would not really suggest it at this time because it could make you overshoot if you haven't aligned yourself up properly. But saying that, at times boosting can be very useful.
That's the last checkpoint. The Sidewinder is an agile craft, and you handled it well. A new icon has appeared on the sensor display in the center of your dashboard. This represents a nearby beacon, which you'll soon scan as part of your evaluation.
So the next thing it's on about is your radar. Now this gives you an idea of what's around you. Your ship is highlighted in the middle by the little triangle, and the object it's on about is a little beacon. That's the little white box that you can see that's in front of you. You also notice that there's a kind of ship behind you, and you can see it's got a little bit of a kind of line behind it. Now if the line's that way around, it's showing it slightly below you. If the line was the opposite way around, then it will show it's above you. So you have a little bit of information on your radar is two lines that come from the triangle. Now if I extend them out with blue lines, these are your view. So this is basically what you can see in front of you.
Target the beacon before we continue.
So just press the button that's highlighted. The target should be directly in front of you.
You're going to use your ship's data link scanner to analyze the beacon, but you need to deploy hardpoints first.
So at this point now you're asked to deploy your hardpoints, which are basically your weapons.
Good. Most external modules are installed on hardpoints, including weapons. Control is back with you. The beacon is relatively small, so you'll need to position yourself close to it.
So what you need to do is to increase your speed and head towards the beacon. Don't go too quickly because you can overshoot it.
Watch your speed here. We intend to scan the object, not become one with it. You can scan the beacon now.
So once you're close enough, all you got to do is press the button marked in the middle, which is your primary weapons. Now you should see in the middle it being coloured in, and when it's fully done, it should be complete.
The data link scanner is a versatile tool that connects with network interfaces and various data points. You need to move to another area of this star system to continue your assessment, pilot. Rather than travel for the next year using your thrusters, you can employ the ship's frameshift drive to increase your speed by a few orders of magnitude. First, ensure that the ship is correctly secured. Your landing gear, cargo scoop, and hardpoints must all be retracted.
So to do this, you should see a bind coming up. Just basically press it and it should retract all your hardpoints for you.
When you're ready, throttle up and engage Super Cruise.
So now it's not really explained what Super Cruise is. Basically there's two forms of travelling around in the Elite and Dangerous Galaxy. There's a Super Cruise and a Jump Drive. Now Super Cruise is used to travel in the local system at high speeds, and the Jump Drive is used to transport yourself to different systems. However, it's asking us to use Super Cruise here, so turn the ship around to where it says target and increase your speed. Once done so, just press the button to enter Super Cruise.
Never mind. You've got it. All readouts look good. You're now accelerating towards a velocity comparative to the speed of light, measured in c. Super Cruise is used to navigate within a star system, allowing you to cover significant distances in minutes. Usually you'll retain control in Super Cruise, but on this occasion your ship's computer is following a preset path. This is a good time to familiarize yourself with a couple of the cockpit panels available to you. In the top left of your HUD is the comms panel, which displays pilot communications and contacts across several channels. The top right is your info panel. Entries here mostly relate to your ship's status, computer messages, and events happening around you.
I wish to add also there's three more panels on your left, in the middle and onto your right, but at the moment those are hidden. So to just give a bit more information at this point, we can see we're heading towards a combat training area marked by where I've put location. Underneath that we have a distance, so we're at 171 light seconds, and then just underneath that we have an estimated time of arrival of 21 seconds. Now this will decrease as we get closer towards the object. You don't want to see that going under 7 seconds, as you're likely to overshoot the location. So as you get nearer to 7, start backing your speed off. However, in this tutorial everything's been done for you, so you don't need to worry about that, but I just wanted to include this information now so you have a bit more understanding of what's happening.
Watch the distance and speed markers on the dashboard. These are used to help you accurately disengage at your destination.
Okay, so to give a little bit more information, on the far left hand side you can see we have got a panel come up saying combat training area. So this is the location we're heading towards. Underneath that we have a distance and speed and alignment. So we need to meet all three requirements to actually exit Super Cruise and get to there. So the distance one, you can see there's a little blue area, so we need to get our current distance, which I've highlighted with the little line. As you get closer you'll see that go down and get into that blue section. The same will be for speed. Alignment is basically just got to be aimed towards the object. Once all three requirements are met, we will exit Super Cruise and arrive at our location.
Several static and mobile targets will be provided around a decommissioned megaship. We'll also cover some situational information about weaponry and target tracking. And yes, you'll get to shoot those weapons you saw earlier.
And don't worry, everything else is being done for you at the moment, so just sit back and watch it happen.
Astronomical bodies have a gravitational effect on the FSD, reducing your ship's speed. The closer the body, the greater the effect.
Basically it got too near the planet, so it just corrected course.
The frameshift drive is disengaged. Welcome to the combat zone. Before you start shooting, however, try analyzing the megaship with a data link scanner.
So it's basically asking us to do the same thing as we did with the probe earlier. Obviously this is a bigger object, so what we need to do is deploy our hardpoints and then target the megaship. Once we've got those two things done, we should be able to just hold the fire button and then it should scan the megaship for us.
Well done. It's often worth scanning objects you're unfamiliar with to learn more about them.
So in this part of the Elite and Dangerous, it doesn't really explain what fire groups are. So what those are multiple different weapon groups you can set. So you could have 4 or 5 weapons on a ship or more and assign them to different groups. Now it doesn't actually show you what the groups are, so it just wants you to switch to the next set, which is just press the button.
You'll notice that your weapons are now listed on your HUD. Fire groups allow you to manage your hardpoints efficiently. Let's begin the combat evaluation.
So a little correction here, primary and secondary are not groups. You do have groups like 1, 2 and 3, and then you have primary and secondary for each group.
All weapons have an effective range, so you may need to move closer here.
Okay, let's give you a little bit more information. So we have our primary set of weapons on our right hand side. This includes one burst laser. As you can see, it's just down here. You can see it's of the second group because it's this primary B, which is kind of group 2. And on our left we have our secondary weapons. Again, it says group 2 or B, and in this group we have one multi-cannon. So we have basically 2 weapons in this group, one is primary and one is secondary. So we now need to destroy some of these blue containers on the megaship. So first we need to target him, so move your ship so you've got it in the center. Once so, just use the button to select it. Now you'll see they're over 2 kilometers away, so they are too far to hit, so speed up a little bit and get a little bit closer. You can probably shoot them at about 1.5 kilometers to 1 kilometer is more ideal. If we use our primary, you can see our burst laser fires, and if we try our secondary laser, you can see our multi-cannon fires.
Thrusters are particularly useful for navigating around large structures. Why not give them a try?
So at this point you can give the vertical thrusters a try or carry on destroying these containers, it's up to you.
Until the ammunition supply runs out. Meanwhile, your laser will fire until the capacitor is depleted, at which point it will need to recharge.
So just to explain what he meant, on the left side underneath multi-cannon you can see 2 numbers. Now the first one is the amount of ammo left in the current clip. Now when this depletes you'll have to reload it, and that can take a bit of time depending on the gun. The second number you can see is a large number, and that's the current amount of ammo left, so there's obviously quite a lot more ammo. On the right hand side underneath the burst laser you can see there's a solid line. Now this is the amount of energy left in the laser. When this depletes it'll take longer to fire. So all we need to do now is destroy the containers on the megaship.
Quota achieved. Let's dial up the challenge a notch, shall we? An unmanned craft has arrived nearby. These drones are used by the Pilots Federation as target practice, and they're quite harmless. To continue, bring the craft into your sights and open fire.
So the next objective is to destroy an unmanned drone, which is basically a ship. So what you need to do for this is to spin the ship around and target this ship. Once you get it selected you should see it start to scan. This ship won't retaliate back or do anything, and all you just do is destroy it. You can use either gun to be honest, and I will tell you what the difference is in a minute. But for now, let's just destroy the ship and get on to the next section.
Nice work. You may have noticed that multi-cannons are effective against unshielded targets. Another craft has arrived. This one is fitted with a shield generator. Helpfully, your burst laser is a thermal weapon, which excels at stripping away a target's shields.
Okay, so let's explain a bit more as we're getting into combat. So on our left side of our HUD, we've got information on our target. So you can see it's a Sidewinder, which is 572 meters away. It's named Shielded Drone. It has the elite rating of harmless. It is also clean in the area and has no faction. To the right of that, we have a picture of the ship with some circular lines going around it. Now these circular lines tell us the status of the shield. Underneath that we have a kind of whizzy sort of splash thing, and it has 100%. Now that tells us the status of the hull. So to the right of our target you see another box in green. This is the status of the ship you're flying, so you can see the shields and the hull. So if we blow it up a bit more so it's easier to see, you can see the 3 rings around the ship. They correspond to 33% of shield strength. So you can see all 3 rings are fully there, so that means the ship's at 100% shield strength. As they get depleted they'll go to red each ring, and it'll slowly, in the end, they'll all disappear. And then once they have been depleted you'll start damaging the hull. So the hull is underneath, and it showed, like I said, in that kind of slash around effect, and also in a percentage. The same information is displayed about our ship as well, and it means exactly the same. So in the case of our target we need to destroy the shields first. I would suggest using the burst laser for this, as it's more efficient at damaging shields. Okay, so now we've got the shields down, the next thing to do is to blow the ship up by destroying its hull. So you can use either weapon, but the pulse laser doesn't do as much hull damage as a multi-cannon, as it's not optimized for that. So you can see here the difference between the damage. When the multi-cannon actually hits, you can see it does a lot more damage to finish off hull. So I suggest you finish him off whichever way you want, but like I said, the multi-cannon is much better for hull damage. So in this example I want to show you what happens when its shields are back up. So the multi-cannon is not so effective on shields, so you can see here when I start to shoot him it doesn't do a lot of damage to the shields. However, the burst laser is much better at that. Generally pulse, burst and beam lasers are good in shields, and multi-cannons are good for hull. There are quite a few other weapons in the game, but I don't want to get into those at the moment.
Your final target has dropped into the area. This time your opponent will fight back, but its damage capability has been greatly reduced. Your target will not react until it registers shield damage. Engage when ready.
So we've got to do pretty much what we did before. The only difference is the ship will retaliate once it's attacked. However, I wouldn't worry about that too much, as it's been greatly reduced in that power output. Just like I said, do the same thing as before. Use your burst laser to get your shields down, and then use the multi-cannon to finish them off. It shouldn't be no problem whatsoever.
Target destroyed.
That was the last target. Even if you're planning on a peaceful career, understanding the basics of combat is vital for a pilot's long-term survival. For advanced combat information, you should refer to the pilot's handbook, which we'll cover in more detail soon. The next step of your evaluation involves a hyperspace jump to a neighboring star system. On this occasion, your ship's computer has selected your destination for you. We'll cover selecting destinations manually soon. The mass lock indicator on the bottom right of the dashboard is active. This means a large object is in close proximity, preventing you from engaging the FSD. To resolve this, throttle up to move a safe distance away from the megaship.
Okay, so the next thing we've been asked to do is to travel to another star system. So this is a long-range jump using something called a hyperspace drive. To do it, we've got to get away from that megaship, because you can see at the moment it's causing us to be mass locked. Mass locked means there's something nearby, or there's some sort of timer to stop you using your frameshift drive straight away. In this case we just need to get away from that megaship as it's too close. So if we head towards our target, which should be already selected, just head towards that way and go at full speed. On your right hand side you can see a little gauge says fuel as well. So this jump is going to use fuel, and you can see the little bit we're going to use is coloured in. Your fuel isn't something you need to genuinely worry too much about. However, if you go out into the unknown, you want to keep your fuel topped up all the time. It's fairly easy to get with things like fuel scoots, but if you don't have them equipped, you could find yourself potentially stranded. I wouldn't worry at the moment because you're going to have plenty of fuel, but just something to bear in mind. Anyway, once you've got all set up and you say target in the right place, just press the button for your frameshift drive and you should start charging up and enter into a hyperspace.
Technology has made the task of leaping between star systems appear trivial. Never let this simplicity distract from the marvel humanity has achieved. Your next stop is Quello Station. This time we'll employ the Supercruise Assist module to guide your approach. Open the external interface panel to your left and select the Navigation tab.
So we've actually managed to reach a new star system. So what we've been told to do is that we need to land on a Pacific station. As you can see, it's highlighted in blue. However, just before, you can see there's the main star at the top, and then we have 3 planets. These are the 1, 2, 3. Then we have the actual station, and then underneath you'll see some more places. Now these are much further away and need another frameshift jump. As you can see, they're listed in light years rather as opposed to light seconds. So we need to basically go to the station. So on this menu, just select the second option. That should engage our Supercruise Assist.
With the destination selected, throttle up and aim towards your target. The compass to the left of the sensor display.
However, before that happens, we need to turn the ship around to the actual target and then increase our speed. Once we've got a high enough speed, you should see Supercruise Assist automatically activates. So Assist Mode will pretty much do everything for you. It will steer the ship, it will get you near enough, and when you're close enough it should drop you right by the station.
Welcome to Quello Station. This is the final stretch. You'll dock here shortly, but I'd like you to position your ship near the starport's access corridor first. Starports are the backbone of humanity's operations throughout inhabited space. They provide mission boards, the commodities market, a number of specialized contacts, and various ship facilities. Most pilot business is conducted via the Starport Services interface. I recommend familiarizing yourself with this screen when docked.
So basically what it's asking us to do is to fly closer to the station. The access hole it's on about is right in the center, and you can possibly just see it's a little blue kind of slot. However, it's just basically asking us to get a little bit closer.
Off the throttle and hold position here. Oh, and try not to block the access corridor. We'll be using the docking computer for this landing. You can always dock manually in future, of course, but practice in a training simulation first. Whichever method you use, all ships must seek docking permission before approaching a landing pad. To request docking permission, open your external interface panel and select the Contacts tab. Then select Quello Station in the list, followed by Request Docking in the information panel.
So that's a bit of a mouthful, he said. What we need to do is ask permission to dock, basically. So if we press 1 and come over to the contacts panel, you can see at the very top we have navigation, transactions and contacts. Now you can see navigation is lit up. So what we need to do is to move to the contacts panel. So if we just press the button for that, we also need to be within 7.5 kilometers. So all we've got to do now is ask for permission. You should get it automatically. If you do, you should see just above your radar that there's the message proceed to a landing bay and which number. And like I said, with the docking computer, it will do pretty much all of this for you. So all you need to do is sit back and let it dock the ship for you.
Demonstrate a safe landing procedure. Let's review what it's doing. Landing gear must be deployed. The related dashboard indicator lights up if this has been done.
Landing gear deployed.
In a moment, the sensor display will switch to the precision approach display, which helps you accurately set belly down on the landing pad. Docking procedure complete. Engaging pad restraints. Let's get your ship ready. Congratulations, Commander. Your evaluation has been successful, and a license is being assigned to you as I speak. We just need to finalize your credentials. Enter the hangar to exit this evaluation.
Well, I think that pretty much concludes the tutorial section of the game. So now we're on to the next section, which will be pretty much when it leaves you to get on with your own devices. So I do plan on creating some more videos to help you at this beginning stage, as there's a lot of stuff to learn. However, this video already got quite a bit long, so I didn't want to do too much and kind of overwhelm people, and this would be a good way to sort of break it up. So if people are interested in certain sections, you could just drop into the various sections. As always, guys, I'd like any comments or suggestions, just drop them below. That always greatly welcome. If you did like the video, please drop us a like, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel. That all greatly helps me and knows that you want more content like this. Anyway, guys, take care and have fun out there.